Change, change, change. 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 Ooh. For 5 long years, I thought you were my man. But I found out I'm just a link in your chain. Oh, you got me where you want me. I ain't nothing but your fool. You treat me mean.
Yo, turn it up. It's Gerod on the air, spitting truth in the booth. We ain't going nowhere. New Orleans City got its heart in the beat, but corruption creeping in, gotta take back the street. But corruption creeping in, gotta take back the street. From the French Quarter vibes to the Ninth Ward grind, he's the voice of the people, yo, he's one of a kind. Talking about the struggle, the hustle, the pain, but with each word he drops, he's bringing power to the game. Gerod on the radio, calling out the lies, bringing light to the dark, keeping hope in our eyes. He's the voice of the people, making changes unfold. In the city of NOLA, we're reclaiming our soul. They try to silence the truth, but he's loud and clear. From the bayou to the block, everyone can hear. Got the people united, it's a movement, no doubt. With his mic in hand, he's breaking all the clout. City eat the official scheming, yeah, they playing it slick. But Gerod's on the line and he's ready to kick. For the schools and the streets, he's fighting the fight. With a heart full of passion, he's igniting the night. Gerod on the radio, calling out the lies, bringing light to the dark.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Eddie Francis in for the G-Man, Gerard Stevens, on the reality check. Sit in for Gerard, they said. Come hang out with us in the afternoon, they said. Don't worry about it, they said. It's going to be fine, they said. And then the rain. My feet are wet. I wore my kicks. I wore the kicks that I really like, the ones that I really, really like, and these things are wet. And on top of all of that, I was hanging out today on Tulane's campus. The wife had some work to take care of. I did the morning show, all that good stuff with Will. So I figured, you know what? She has stuff to do. I'll just hang out and work here for a little bit. And then came the rain. And the reason I bring that up is because if you know anything about college campuses, especially in New Orleans, and rain, you know how it gets. You are kicking water across the campus. I don't care which campus it is in this city. I do not care. It could be Lake Dillard. It could be Lake Xavier, Lake Tulane, Lake UNO, Lake Holy Cross, I'm sure, Lake Delgado, I am very sure. Although Loyola isn't so bad. My alma mater is not so bad. But no, you will catch the puddles. You will catch these puddles. Yeah. Yeah, come do the morning show, they said, or I should say the afternoon show. Come do the reality check, they said. But you know what? I am happy to be with you this afternoon. It is a pleasure to be hanging out with you. And this afternoon, the show is also in the very capable hands of Jasmine. Good old Jasmine Bracey hanging out. Jasmine, thank you very much. She is an XU grad, XXXXU. Good to have you. And I hope that you're doing well this afternoon. We have a lot of stuff to cover. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all of it. I will say that along with all of the serious talk, I do want to have a little fun because it's Friday. So it's Friday. So at some point, I do want to make it Friday. But let's get some of the serious stuff out of the way because this morning on the Good Morning Show, Will Sutton, he's Will Sutton. So he pulled another great interview. The man is, he's on fire with these interviews this week. Um, and we had the opportunity this morning, I should say, to speak to U.S. Representative Cleo Fields, District 6. And so we're going to hear what Congressman Fields has to say. We're going to play that interview back for you in just a little bit. Because I do believe that his perspective about what's happening with the suspension of the House primaries for the May 16th election is very much worth hearing, because he's probably going to be the candidate who's most affected by this, the congressperson who is most affected by this. And so we're going to replay that interview. Also, some information we're going to pass along from Lisa Manning Bridges, the Orleans Parish Registrar of Voters. We had a conversation with her as well this morning, and I'm going to pass on some information that she shared with us about the elections, the May 16th elections. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to this, but I do want to have I want to share some thoughts about a game that we can still win, Black America. And that game is controlling the narrative. We can win this game. And I don't want to position it as if we are, hopeless or anything right now. We're far from hopeless. We are very much in a challenge stage right now, but we are far from hopeless. And one of the things that we can do to capitalize on our power is do something that we have done quite often throughout history, and that is control our narrative. And so I want to share some thoughts about that a little later on. Some really good news from the land of HBCUs. And this is the kind of news that we really want to hear from the land of historically Black colleges and universities, and that is HBCUs working together to win. I'm going to tell you what that's all about in a little bit as well. And then if we can get to it, empowering our Black kids to be micropreneurs. That is the term that I heard this morning. We had our good friends from Liberty Bank on the Good Morning Show, and that term, micropreneur, came up. And it really got me thinking. It's really kind of in tandem with the HBCU story that I want to share a little bit. But as we know, we have our May 16th elections coming up. I will say it again. We have our May 16th elections coming up. I will say it again. We have our May 16th elections coming up. Early voting starts tomorrow, May 2nd, 8:30 a.m. I will say it again. Early voting starts tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. I will say it again. Early voting starts tomorrow, and it goes through May 9th. I will say it again. Early voting starts tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., and it goes through May 9th. Hopefully, I have said it enough times that you will do the same thing the next time you talk to a group of people. Early voting starts tomorrow, and it goes through May 9th. It starts at 8:30 a.m. And we're going to talk about the folks who are on the House ballot, because you need to hear this. You truly, truly need to hear this. We need perspective on this. But one thing that I want to get out of the way right now was some information that was shared with us this morning by Lisa Marie Manning Bridges, the Orleans Parish Registrar of Voters. And something that we need to make sure that we are clear on, crystal clear on, is that the governor signed an executive order to suspend the primaries for the House of Representatives, the Democratic and Republican candidates. The House primary, that is what has been suspended. What that means is that the Senate primary is still happening. So if you're looking to cast your vote for a Democratic or Republican candidate for the Senate primary tomorrow, when you do early voting, you will have that option. You also have municipal elections, state amendments, state Supreme Court, Bessie Board, Public Service Commission. Of course, this depends on the area that you're in. But you will still have the Senate primary going on, closed primary, which means, as we know, you are voting for either a Democratic candidate or a Republican candidate. If you're Democratic Party, you are voting Democrat. If you're Republican, you're voting Republican. If you're no party, you're voting either one. But you have to vote for one. And if there's a runoff, you have to stick with that party for the runoff. Now, if you do not have a party, or if you are no party, and you get to the poll, you will be able to let folks know which party you intend to vote with. You gotta let folks know that, which party you intend to vote with. You can declare a party vote at the poll when early voting starts tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. But here's the interesting thing that Lisa shared with us this morning on a Good Morning show, and that is you will see the candidates for the House seats for the Democratic primary, the Republican primary for the House. You will see those candidates because the timeline for the governor signing his executive order did not allow for them to remove them from the ballots. And so you're going to see those candidates. And what Lisa said was that you can vote. You can actually vote for a Democratic candidate or a Republican candidate, but the vote won't count. But you can still vote. It just won't count. So I started asking myself a question. What if I were to go in and vote my party candidate anyway? Would it hurt? What would happen? What if I were to do that? There was something very interesting that Will said about that this morning after we had our conversation with Lisa. And he said, if you go ahead and you decide to cast a vote in the House primary, at least it will be on record how many people cast votes. Theoretically, I would add to that. Theoretically, it would be interesting if the media were to capture that there were people saying after they cast their votes, well, you know what? I decided to vote anyway. I know that it, quote unquote, doesn't count, my House primary vote, but I decided to vote anyway since it was on the ballot. Why not? Who knows what could happen between the early voting period and voting day, election day? Who knows what could happen? Something could happen because legal action is on the table right now. And you're going to hear some of that in the interview that we had with Congressman Cleo Fields. He talks about that. Speaking of which, let's talk about these House party candidates. See what I did there? House party. All right, joking. So here's what we have. District 1. Now, we know we have in the U.S. House of Representatives, we have 6 districts throughout Louisiana. And yes, I'm going to go down all of these because I think we need to hear this. We need to hear this. And so For the District 1, your Democratic primary candidate is Lauren Jewett. The Republican primary candidate is Steve Scalise, but there's also another Republican candidate, Randall Arrington. District 2, your Democratic primary candidates, Troy Carter and Renata Collins. District 3, there are no Republican candidates, by the way, for District 2. District 3, your Democratic primary candidates are John Day, Tia LeBrun, Caleb Walker. The Republican is Clay Higgins. So again, your Democrats are John Day, Tia LeBrun, Caleb Walker. The Republican candidate, the incumbent, Clay Higgins. District 4, Democrats, Conrad Cable, Matthew Gromlich. Your Republican candidates, Mike Johnson, Joshua Murat, Mike Nichols. District 5, this one is very interesting. Very, very interesting. And by the way, I'm reading from ballotpedia.org. Ballotpedia.org. So I want to make sure that's clear what my source is. Democratic candidates, Jesse Carlton Fleener, Larry Foy, Lindsey Garcia, Dan McKay, Tanya Nyman. Republicans, Misty Cordell, Michael Echols, Rick Edmonds, Austin McGee, Michael Mabrewer, Blake Miguez, Samuel Wyatt. District 6, Cleo Fields is your Democratic candidate. Republican, Monique Appening, Larry Davis, Christian Johnson, and Peter Williams. So again, according to our Orleans Parish Registrar of Voters, when you go to the booth for your early voting, you're going to see the primary candidates for the House. But if you cast a vote, the vote won't count. But again, I'm asking the question, what if we voted anyway? What if we voted for our primary candidates anyway? And here's the deal. This is also a very important point that Lisa made this morning. The very important point that she made is that if you have mail-in ballots that you intend to put in the mail and you've cast your vote, put it in the mail anyway. Put it in the mail anyway. Because thousands of mail-in ballots have already been submitted. Thousands. You're going to hear that number from Cleo Fields in just a little bit when we replay that interview from this morning. Thousands of mail-in ballots have already been submitted. This puts the governor in a very interesting place where the rest of the country is asking a very interesting question of the governor of the state of Louisiana. And that is, with so many people in your state having already cast their votes, are you telling the United States of America that you, the governor of the state of Louisiana, you're supposed to be the steward of the rights of the people of your state. You're supposed to be the steward of the quality of living of your state. You are supposed to be the steward of people in your state. Are you trying to tell me, Louisiana governor, that after all of these people, thousands of people, have cast their votes, you are going to say, we're just going to go ahead and ignore those? That's what you want to say for the House of Representatives. That's what you want to say. And your excuse not a reason. Because one thing I learned when I was becoming a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is that there's a difference between an excuse and a reason. A reason means that you rationally have something going on that is legitimately preventing you from making a rational decision. An excuse, however, we were taught, is a tool of incompetence to build monuments to nothing. And those who specialize in them do nothing else. So the tool of incompetence that you are building for the rest of the state, Governor, is that you want to throw out people's ballots for the House of Representatives seats because you want to wait until they go ahead and redraw these districts. Seriously? Is that what we're doing? Is that what we are doing, sir? Is that what we are doing? Well, let's see what happens when the rest of the United States of America sees that you are more than willing to tell people, I don't care how you voted, I am not going to count it. I'm Eddie Francis in for Gerard Stevens, the G-Man, on the Reality Check on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Late nights are made for chillin', and you can do just that every Sunday night at 10 p.m. as DJ Wick brings you The Love Zone. It's the perfect way to top off your weekend with your favorite old and new school ballads. So sit back, relax, and let DJ Wick take you to the Love Zone on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
The National World War II Museum. Located in the Warehouse District of New Orleans, the National World War II Museum tells the story of America's experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. Visit them online at www.nationalww2museum.org for time tickets and safety information.
Greetings and salutations. I am Edward B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon on WBOK to listen in on Black to Business and be a part of the movement that's going on. Thank you.
Transform your bathroom with the beautiful quality of Bath Planet. As a trusted leader in bathroom renovation, Bath Planet has earned the Good Housekeeping seal, a symbol of quality and consumer confidence for over 100 years. Get half off installation or 18 months with no interest and no payments. Whether it's tub replacement, a shower replacement, or a tub-to-shower conversion, Bath Planet makes your custom bath fast, easy, and affordable. Here's how it works. 1. Call to schedule your free, no-obligation consultation. 2. Our design experts come to you with real samples to customize your dream bath. 3. Our certified installers complete the transformation in as little as 1 day. And right now, for a limited time, you can upgrade your bathroom for 50% off installation or choose 18 months with no interest and no payments. But you need to call now. This special offer is only available by calling 800-981-8177. That's 800-981-8177. Call 800-981-8177 right now before the offer ends.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The Reality Check on WBOK 1230 AM.
And good afternoon. Welcome back to the Reality Check. Eddie Francis in for Gerard Stevens. Thank you, everyone who is hanging out on Facebook, coming in strong this afternoon. Paul Jensen, thank you so much for hanging out. Appreciate you, Shannon Swift, for hanging out. Lori Weber, thank you. I appreciate you. Chuck Hunt, all the way from Monroe, Louisiana. Appreciate you. Deborah Jones, thank you so much. Barry Williams, 06, my brother, thank you so much for hanging out. Paul says, this country has become the United Oligarchs of America. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And the rest of the world really is laughing at us. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about the rest of the world laughing at us. You want to know the real reason people are laughing at us? It's not because folks voted for that joker in office in D.C. That's not why. The reason people around the world are laughing is the U.S. has been talking junk on top of junk on top of junk on top of junk since day one about being the land of the free, the home of the brave, about being a melting pot, about being a land of opportunity, a land of milk and honey. The U.S. has been talking junk, and the rest of the world has been calling the U.S. out for decades over this. And the rest of the world has been saying to the U.S., you mean to tell me that you are the land of the free, the home of the brave, we the people, all this other junk, yet you have been okay with enslaving people and not even offering so much as an apology to the people you enslaved? You created policies to keep those people in compromised positions throughout their lives. And not just that, the people who were on the land before y'all even got there, y'all treat them like they're the ones who invaded the country. And you're trying to tell us, the rest of the world, that we got a problem? That's why we're laughing stock, because the U.S. has been talking junk to people for decades, talking down to people for decades. And the laughing stock part comes when people are looking at this, the elections from 2016 and 2020 or 2024, and they're saying, wait a minute, y'all been talking to junk all this time, and this is the decision that you made? Him. Y'all used, United States of America, your democratic power to elect someone who is not only incompetent as far as public service is concerned, but who told you flat out, I'm only doing this to enrich myself, and I only want you to vote for me so that I can get what I want. But I'm going to tell you that I'm doing it for you, even though I'm telling you that I'm lying to you. And I'm laughing at you in your face while you cast a vote for me. So the rest of the world is saying, yeah, that's the dude you decided to be the leader of the quote-unquote free world. That's why we're laughing stock. That's why. The funny thing, though, is that when it comes to black folks, you ask black folks, we go anywhere in the world, and I hear this from friends of mine who are expats. I hear this from friends of mine who travel, and they'll say, yeah, I went to go visit France. I went to go visit Italy. I went to go visit Africa. I went to go visit South America. You know, I took a trip here, took a trip there. And what people from around the world are saying, Black Americans, we really have no problem with you. As a matter of fact, we feel bad for you. You're not the problem with America, Black Americans. You're not the ones we don't have a beef with you. We have a beef with the people who act as if they never did anything to you. This is the feedback I get from friends of mine who travel. Whew. Man. So let's get some calls taken care of. 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. That interview with Cleo Fields, that is coming. But I want to find out what y'all are talking about this afternoon. We got T-Bone on the line this afternoon. Hey, T-Bone, what's up?
Good evening, y'all. Brother, I'm glad you finished with that the note from other foreign nations because for years they have hated our guts. A lot of Americans don't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
They really hate our guts because of the trash talk that we've had for decades. We stick our nose in their politics, just like we stuck our nose in Iran. We stuck our nose in different things for the Middle East. We stuck our nose in Liberia. We stuck our nose in places that benefited us, but not in the places that we really should have helped out in if we are truly the best country on the planet.
Yeah.
And I have to disagree with you on the mail-in ballot thing because I'm going to tell you why. You're going to be shocked when I say this. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
They don't care.
Oh, yeah.
The governor does not care. Anybody remember that conference that Trump had that was closed to cameras, this, that, and the third, just Republicans?
Mm-hmm.
They unhatched this plan there. Their plan was this all along.
Mm-hmm.
Stack the courts with conservative judges, including the Supreme Court. Stack the Congress and the House with Republicans. They can't say anything if they can't vote. They can't say anything if we are running everything. And once I get in, just stand by and stand back. Anybody remember him saying that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This was the plan from the get-go, people. And now, those of you who voted for this or indirectly voted for this
Right.
are seeing the reckoning. This is the ass whipping I talked about when we first had this clown come in 2 years. This is the ass whipping, y'all. So now, you know what's coming next. I'm just waiting on it. And y'all can sit up there and tell me I'm stupid, but this is a sign of what happened historically before. I'm waiting on the white-only signs and the colored signs to come out.
Yeah.
No Negroes or no niggas. You might as well say it.
But, T-Bone, I'm with, it's the self-righteousness. That is what people have hated about America for so long. The self-righteousness.
We could claim it if we were actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We could claim it if we were actually doing it. And the reason I can say it like that is because other countries don't have their news sanitized like we do. They read more than we do. And they understand their political candidates better than we do. One side wants to call the other side sheeple, but that side is acting like sheeple already.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you not see that this man is only benefiting himself and not yours? Gas is continuing to go up.
I'm actually going to
Grocery
address.
prices are still going up. All of that stuff is still going. You're feeling it, and you're not getting a penny more from the salary or the benefits that you have.
Yep. And I'm gonna address that whole thing in just a little bit. T-Bone, thank you much. We got a bunch of calls. Let me get some of these other calls coming in. Appreciate you, Chuck from Monroe. How you doing, my brother?
Hello, I'm gonna be quick. I know you have I know you have Cleo Fields and others, but I was just calling. What he's just talking about. Yeah, this is where we are, and that's why I told my father. My father was in the civil rights movement in the '60s in Louisiana in Madison Parish. He was strong in the civil rights movement. And I told him, I said, Dad became upset about what was going on with the Supreme Court. I said, you know what? It's not, he's talking about white people doing this. I said, it's not. I said the one that's instrumental in doing it. It's sitting right there in the court named Clarence Thomas. And you see all the others that you have here in that are in the current. You see these people that you see names like Byron Donalds and any others, Wesley Hunt, and these names, Tim Scott. And these people don't care. And like we just talked about yesterday at South Carolina State with that situation. Now they want to talk about these legislators. They want to talk about defunding South Carolina State.
Want to pull their funding.
It goes back to that chairman, Douglas Gant. It goes back to him and wanting to invite that woman. And the students say, "Hey, look, they spoke and said we don't want her."
Yeah. Absolutely, Chuck. Appreciate you calling in as always, my brother. Let's get Elmore on the line this morning. Good morning. Good afternoon, Elmore.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure listening to you. This is the first time talking to you, but the gentleman before made some very good points. Uh, when I travel and talk to people from other countries, one thing I've learned, I'm 75 years old. I've been all over the world, Vietnam vet, been to Korea, Germany, Thailand, um, Korea. And one thing I noticed, other governments and the people who represent those countries, they may not necessarily love the politics that we had our government. They always respected the American people. Right now, the world's not really respect the American people because they realize American people, not all of us, voted for Trump. So when you look at white folk, Hispanics, Afro Americans, uh, uh, Vietnamese notoriously voted for Republicans and Trump. This is all record. This is facts. This ain't. I'm not just blowing smoke. Vietnamese of all Asians, particularly voted for Trump. Well, again, you get what you're paying for. But I think what's going to happen. I hate to say it like this. More white folks going to have to get hurt. Please forgive me. I'm not anti-white or I'm not a racist,
Sure.
but I'm calling what's going to happen. More white folks going to get hurt. More white folks gonna lose their jobs. More white folks gonna lose their welfare and their food stamps. They always think all of us getting it, but a lot of us uh, are more prosperous and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
educated. Look, don't laugh. A lot of us more prosperous, educated than them, and that's why they hate us to death because they look at us and say, how dare you be an engineer, or how dare you be a
Absolutely.
plumber, how dare you be a school teacher or educator, a young man. Listen, I listen to you very well. You're a very educated young man. That's why I wanted to talk with you and call you. You know.
Thank you, Elmore. Elmore, I want to ask you. You said you served in Vietnam, correct?
Yes, sir.
My brother served in the Marine Corps, and there was something that he told me. Which branch did you serve in?
Yes, sir. I served. I had the pleasure of serving the United States Army for 6 years, 8 months, 22 days.
Okay, my brother told me something that's very interesting, and I want to get your take on this.
Yes, sir.
He told me that at least in the Marine Corps, what he found was that whenever a lot of the racist white members ran across a black member who was actually patriotic and actually believes in the country, that made them even angrier. And he said that they would. He said it would be something where it would it would go from a distaste to a hatred because I don't know, it was almost the same effect to me as racist white people who can't stand educated black folks. Did you run across anything like that?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I ran across. I ran across when I was stationed in Vietnam, stationed in Korea. What's other than Europe? You'd be surprised how people in other countries they follow white folks and they follow what they see on TV, and they know the history of white folks with minorities and Afro American people. They had clubs in Vietnam. Oh yeah, they had clubs in Korea, had Confederate flags, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
And look, those Vietnamese young women and Korean women would have you. Oh man, they would never allow you to go to the club. So what I did, I was smart. I did fight it. What I did, I went to my uh, command sergeant major of our division. I went as high as we had an equal rights unit, just like you have in civilian, reporting discrimination. And guess what? And when I was stationed in Korea, when I was stationed in the Second Infantry Division, oh, guess what? The commanding general of that division said, "Oh, guess what? You ain't discriminating against none of my troops. Guess what? You do that, I will not only close your boat down, I'll close that whole section of those boats down." So
Mm.
again, oh yeah, it was it's amazing how other nationalities look at us, even though they look at us respect, they also want to follow their leader is, I hate to say it, like white folks that that's very prejudiced against not only minorities but Afro American men and women.
Yeah.
But I think your brother may be older than me because if your
No,
brother's
he's
listening, you
he's
can.
younger. He's younger. He's definitely younger. He served during Desert Storm.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
see, I served in 71 Vietnam. And the thing about it was that I had the pleasure of serving my country 6 years. Like I said, 8 months, 22 days. But Nixon, I didn't like nothing about Nixon or the Republicans at that time. But he did pull this out. So I didn't serve my entire year in Vietnam, thank God. But I did have the privilege to serve my country 6 years, 8 months, again, 22 days. I
Yeah.
was 24 years old, made my E5 stripe, Bucks on the stripe. I was up E6, but I wanted to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And I'm proud to say I still serve my people being an engineer and being a mechanic. So, but I was glad to serve my country, you know.
All right. Well, Elmore, thank you so much. Appreciate you, my brother, and thank you for your service. And I do mean that sincerely. I come from a family where my dad was in the Army. He served during World War II. Like I just said, my brother served in the Marine Corps. I have a nephew who served in the Marine Corps. So I definitely believe in the work of the folks who served in our military. So let's and we're gonna play this. We're gonna play this interview with Cleo Fields, and very quickly, I want to serve in the Marine Corps. So I definitely believe that we had in the work of the folks who to get him on the line to talk about what is happening with the executive order that was signed and the fallout from that. So let's hear from Congressman Cleo Fields.
Now we're going to the phone because the caller we have is 6th District Congressional Representative Cleo Fields. Good morning, Mr. Fields. You're on with Will Sutton and Eddie Francis. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Will and Francis. It's good to be with you all this morning.
Man, I know you've had quite a career. It looks like you can't go through a few months, a year or two without some challenges of some kind. But yet you keep going. And this Calais decision.
Yeah, you're right.
Wow.
You're right. I mean, listen, I've never served in Congress a single day without having a Supreme Court case hanging over my head. And that's unfortunate. I mean, I understand that the governor, the attorney general, and the secretary of state, has basically, said there will be no elections. They're just absolutely wrong on that, and we're going to fight that in court. At the end of the day, the elections have already started. Voters have qualified. Over 100,000 mail-in ballots have been sent to people. Many of them have turned their ballots in. So when people say the election starts on Saturday, no, it doesn't. The election has already started. And so, and in fact, we really don't even have a final judgment from the Supreme Court. Every party has 25 days from the issuing of a judgment to ask for a rehearing. I mean, the parties in this case have the same right. So I think we'll prevail on that matter. So we're going to be vigorously fighting in court to try to overturn this stay by the governor and the attorney general and the secretary of state.
So correct me if I'm wrong. You were elected to serve the 6th Congressional District after the state legislature created new maps, and this is the district that you were elected to serve. You're still the congressman for that district, and you intend to continue in your full term as congressman for that district. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. That's without question. And I tell people all the time, the question is not whether or not Cleo serves another day in Congress. It's really about whether or not a person who looks like me have the opportunity to serve in Congress. And thus, that's the whole purpose of the Voting Rights Act. I mean, this terrible Supreme Court, they struck down subsection 5 years ago. And now the only, meat we had in the Voting Rights Act was Section 2, and now they've watered that down. How can you not take race into account when you're dealing with a voting act that basically deals with the past discriminations of minority voters? So I just think it's all bad, and it's really, upsetting to see that the state lawmakers, executives, would rush to a decision to just tell the people their votes, although they've voted, it just doesn't count. And I just think that's wrong, and we'll see them in court.
Congressman, when will that lawsuit be filed? Will that be filed by you or a civil rights organization or some other individual or set of individuals?
Well, one of the plaintiffs, one of the candidates in the 5th District has already filed. They filed yesterday.
Oh, who was that?
Who
was that?
I can't think of.
That's okay. The 5th District.
But
Yeah.
but also 5th District Democrat running for the 5th District. They have filed. We'll be filing. The NAACP Legal Defense Fund will be filing today. They have always represented me in these cases, and their case will be filed today. I mean, at the end of the day, the court doesn't even have the case, and for the Western District to opine before they even receive the case, it just goes to show you what black voters face in this state. And I would hope that the court really realized that what they did was just open up a whole can of worms, not only in Louisiana, but all across the country, particularly in the southern parts of the country. And I tell people, there's not a single African American ever elected to Congress from Louisiana in a majority white district. It just hasn't happened. That's the proof. Many have run, none have been elected, and it's a terrible decision, and it's even more terrible that they want to just execute it so quickly. So we will see, and people are fighting, and I think we ultimately prevail on the changing of the election.
And you're a part of the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm seeing different estimates that this would affect at least 19 of those seats and possibly as high as 27, which would be a big hole in the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah, it's unconscionable. I mean, look. I mean, these are voting rights districts. These are districts that were perfected merely because people of color just have never had a chance to be elected in a national government. We have never elected even a statewide elected official. The evidence is real clear. We need the act. And as soon as Congress meets next Congress, the first thing they should do is pass a voting rights act with teeth. And I think there's going to be a rule of thumb to do that. And, by the way, term limit these Supreme Court justices. Because they are just absolutely political pawns.
Okay.
And I think the Congress will move on that.
All right. Well, I know we are fortunate to have these few minutes with you, Congressman, and I know you normally have busy days, but with this Calais decision and related items, I know your days in the last 48 hours have been very busy, as you will be busy today and this weekend. So, Lord's blessings, and thank you so much for representing all of us in the 6th District and all of Louisiana and much of the nation. People look for you for leadership. And
again, that was from this morning, the Good Morning Show. Will Sutton interviewing Congressman Cleo Fields, Louisiana District 6, about the Calais decision, but then also talking to him about legal action, that not only is there one candidate from District 5, but then Congressman Fields himself looking at legal action as a response. My apologies. And so, I'm yesterday, if you heard the show yesterday, I went on a rant about the type of leadership that I think is most dangerous. And I said that leadership is self-centered leadership. That is exactly, in my opinion, what Jeff Landry is guilty of. And I'm going to tell you, I know I don't have to necessarily tell you how or why, but I want to give it a lot more context about the danger itself. We're going to take a break right now. Mehdi Francis in for the G-Man Gerard Stevens on the reality check on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Campus of Xavier University. WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says a return to the moon could happen during his time in office. Speaking at the White House with the crew of NASA's Artemis 2 mission, Trump praised the astronauts' historic flight.
It takes people like this to make our country great, and everybody I knew, they wanted to see the launch.
The mission marks a key step toward NASA's goal of landing humans on the moon by 2028. North Carolina A&T is joining a new coalition of HBCUs aimed at boosting research funding and opportunities. The group, based in Washington, will work to expand student career paths and faculty recruitment, backed by a $1 million grant supporting research growth at 15 campuses. And comedian Sinbad is making his return to the stand-up stage nearly 5 years after suffering a stroke. The 69-year-old says he's excited for sold-out comeback shows in Pasadena, joined by his daughter, comedian Paige Bryan. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Looking for a great deal on your next phone? Come see us at your locally owned AT&T store for the latest Samsung and iPhones. Visit us at 3616 South Carrollton Avenue. We have great offers on watches, tablets, accessories, and internet service. Whatever your connectivity needs are, our team is here to help you keep connected. Visit us today at AT&T. 3616 South Carrollton Avenue. Locally owned and proudly giving back to the community.
And welcome back to the reality check. Eddie Francis in for the G-Man Gerard Stevens. Hanging out with us this afternoon. Also, Jasmine producing. Kept us in suspense there for just a little bit. I love it. I love it. I kind of felt that dun-dun-dun-dun thing happening, and then theme music, bam, right back into the show. I am taking a look at Threads right now, and I am reading a post from the ACLU. This was posted 2 hours ago. And the post reads, breaking, we are suing Louisiana officials for suspending the state's primary election after voting has already begun. On the heels of a Supreme Court decision that eviscerated protections for voters of color, elected officials jumped at the chance to disenfranchise people. We won't allow it. Again, that is from at ACLU_nationwide. The ACLU announcing on social media, and of course, I'm sure that they have issued their press release, and I'm sure that they have whatever press conferences that they're going to have. They have announced that they are suing Louisiana officials. They did not say exactly who in this post. They are saying Louisiana officials. So yesterday I went on a rant about self-centered leadership. If you know anything about me, leadership is something that both keeps me up at night and gets me out of bed in the morning. I am both fascinated by leadership and heavily invested in what leadership looks like, especially after spending 3 years researching, academic research, I say, leadership. Landry's executive order, Jeff Landry's executive order, in my opinion, is a shining example of self-centered leadership. First of all, what does it mean to even be self-centered? To be self-centered means that you stand up only for yourself. You represent only yourself, often to the exclusion of others. And for this man to do this executive order to suspend a House primary election, something that impacts the state as far as Congress is concerned. This isn't about doing anything for anybody in the state of Louisiana. Even his supporters don't benefit from this. They may think they do, some of them, but they don't. And this kind of leadership is dangerous because it excludes. That is the point of it. Now, I know what the governor will say. I know what the governor's going to say. I mean, the man has been railing on quote unquote woke politics and whatever he thinks sounds cute and whatever's going to attract his supporters. He's been railing on it since his campaign. And I know that he is going to cry racism for the district, you know, wah, 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 right? I know this is what he's going to do. Now, this may work. This is cute to his supporters. But see, people who know better, people who are actually open to wanting to have a harmonious society, we're not falling for this banana in the tailpipe foolishness. This is self-centered leadership. It excludes people. It excludes policies, practices. These are actions that are designed to prevent people, specific people, groups, or items from entering, participating, or being included in any way, right? Just anything. That's why this is self-centered. Now, it's normal to protect one's own interests. This is what we all do as human beings. But I think what separates people is when you are someone who allows others to share in that interest in some way. When you decide to live and let live. Yesterday on the show, the queer community came up as a subtopic. And there were folks who called in and said, hey, listen, that's not my thing. But I'm not trying to prevent anybody else from having a good quality of life. That is someone protecting interest, their own interest, but saying, I'm protecting my own interest, but I'm also going to live and let live. I'm not going to try to keep anybody else from having a great quality of life. Self-centered leadership is dangerous because it says I'm protecting my interests and I don't care who has to suffer so that I can get what I want. It feeds into bigotry. It feeds into racism. It feeds into discriminatory viewpoints. It is not community focused. It is singular focused. And you say to yourself, well, Eddie, what about the people who are in the base? Aren't they a community? Yeah, they're a community. They are a community of individuals who will eat each other alive at the drop of a hat. That is self-centered behavior. That is doing things for myself to a degree that I don't want anybody else to have anything else. Or there's a group of people that I have targeted to make sure they don't get what they need. Or I'm going to act like just because this group of people got something after they were denied so much, I'm going to act like they're taken from me, even though I know I still have more than they do. That is self-centered leadership. And as I said yesterday, it is not limited to any ethnicity. It's not limited to a gender. It is not limited to a lifestyle. But that executive order is a prime example of self-centered leadership. It is self-serving. It is to the exclusion of other people. It is designed to hurt people. And forget about it is not right, it's actually not smart. Because what's going to wind up happening is that the state of Louisiana is about to get dragged into litigation. And guess what, people who voted for Jeff Landry, who thought you were going to hurt the black community, your tax dollars are about to pay for this. Congratulations. Good job. I'm Eddie Francis in for Gerod Stevens on the Reality Check. All right, we're going into hour number 2 on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
campus of Xavier University.
Look.
WBOK Go and Equity Media Station.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. As BET's co-founder, Sheila Johnson has a ton of experience in media, but a lot's changed since she first got the black-focused entertainment cable network off the ground. Johnson spoke to Bloomberg about the state of media and what black audiences might be seeking out now.
I just think that the landscape and the racial landscape of what African Americans are watching is changing. And I just think that we have got such a broad perspective of people out there that want something different, especially this younger generation. So we need to reevaluate what are the goals of black media and what are the answers? What is it out there that we need to answer?
According to Nielsen, just over 50% of black viewers feel there isn't enough content on TV from people of their identity group. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's has the brands pros trust to get the job done. You can now shop new Catalyst fencing solutions and save big when you do. 10% off when you buy in bulk. Plus, save $180 on a DeWalt 12-inch dual bevel sliding compound miter saw. Now just $449. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/6 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Liberty Mutual customize this song for you. Like your car insurance, it's custom too, yeah. Liberty Mutual's got the coverage that could save you money. Thanks to Doug and Limu, well now you can go and take that cruise. Liberty, 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 yeah.
It's off the top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
The U.S. Supreme Court has dealt a serious blow to the Voting Rights Act, a decision with far-reaching consequences for minority voters, especially African Americans and others, whether they realize it or not. In a 6-3 ruling, the conservative majority of the nation's highest court struck down Louisiana's second-majority black congressional district. That district, represented by Democrat Congressman Cleo Fields, was created by the Louisiana legislature to ensure fair representation for black voters. Before its creation, Louisiana's congressional delegation included just one black representative, despite African Americans making up more than a third of the state's population. The court's majority argued that drawing districts based on race is unconstitutional, even when the goal is to correct historic underrepresentation. Yet, political line drawing, long used to shape congressional maps, especially for the Republicans, remains permissible. The court's 3 liberal justices sharply disagreed, warning that the decision threatens decades of progress made under the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Congressman Troy Carter put it this way, quote, "For decades, the court's majority has steadily chipped away at the Voting Rights Act. The consequences of this decision are immediate and severe. The hard-fought progress that led to the creation of 2 majority black congressional districts in Louisiana is now in jeopardy," end quote. Civil rights leaders warned this ruling could weaken black voting power not just in Louisiana, but across the nation. The message is clear. If you care about representation, about fairness, about your voice being heard, then vote like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Bottom line, get up off your rusty butts and go vote, damn it. This is Norman Robinson off the top.
New Orleans, are you ready for a voice that says what you're thinking? Who that, you might ask? Arrington Gavin. That's right, I'm your guy, host of the Arrington Gavin Show, giving you so much filled with bold opinions, real conversations, and zero sugarcoating. We're going to be diving into the issues that matter, politics, pop culture, and all the above, unfiltered and unafraid. Catch the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Fridays, right here on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
And welcome back to the reality check. Eddie Francis in for the G-Man, Gerard Stevens on WBOK. Let's go straight to the phone lines. Galloway is calling in this afternoon. How you doing, Galloway?
What's going on, brother?
Oh,
hey,
man, nothing
you're talking
much.
about good stuff. You're talking good stuff as usual, man. And when you was talking about the military, I'm a former Marine. I served 20 years, and I found it so striking when I was stationed in Europe of how many Caucasian people knew of or heard of, or some of their parents or grandparents witnessed how the black service members fought and treated them compared to the white service members. I'm serious. When I tell you it's night and day, they say they'd rather prefer to be around the black soldier. Because black people treated, not because black people were submissive or like, yes, I'm master, none of that stuff. The white service member was arrogant. They did not want to be around them. A lot of white service members raped a lot of European women. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. A lot of them got hanged. A lot of black men got accused of raping white women because white service members would say that black guy did it, knowing meanwhile it was the white guy who did it. You got a memorial in the Netherlands and a plaque, and you got some other stuff in France. You got some other stuff in other countries that talks just about the black service members. And Trump tried to remove the one in the Netherlands, but they put it back. In the United States, you got to go to, I think New York is like the only place where they have something just pertaining just to the black service member himself. So it's crazy. It's crazy to think about that stuff, that how that you can go to Europe and they appreciate what our grandparents, aunts, and uncles did in war, but in the United States, and I had to remind them, and I remind people all the time, when a black service member came back from every war before Vietnam, he or she could not wear their service uniform.
Yep.
They had to ride in the back of the bus still. It's a lot that goes into a black person joining the military. And your brother's right about the Marine Corps. The more patriotic and the more you do, the more they hate you. A lot of white service members don't like to see you wearing that same uniform that they wear, like you didn't earn it. So hell with those people. But you know, you're talking about Louisiana and these maps and this political climate. I keep telling folks this is the perfect time for you to sit yourself down and your family and your friends and teach each other or learn from each other the civics. We got to teach our folks that this stuff has been going on since 1868 when they would not seat the first black man who actually won his election by 68%. And he was not allowed to be seated by the House of Representatives. You got to teach them about the Opelousas massacre, how those folks was mad because we was going to school and learning. We was doing our own thing. They did not like that stuff. You got to teach our children that we did not have our head down. We fought and we won everything. You talk about Trump and Landry and all these other folks, they put them in office to do that. I keep telling folks, when they say make America great again, people say, what year? I say 1901. And they say, what makes 1901? I said, in 1901, there was no black politician serving in the United States House of Representatives or any of the United States Senate. We had no representation. There was, and listen, in the southern states, from 1901 to 1972, there was no black person serving the House of Representatives from the South. That's 72 years. We had, what was her name? Barbara Jordan and Andrew Young came in 72 and 73. So for 72 years, we had no representation. That's where they're trying to take us back. And how they did it? Through racial gerrymandering. through literacy tests, poll taxes, segregation, and Jim Crow. It's coming back, y'all. They just doing it legally with the Supreme Court. Just like the Taney Court in 1850, we got the Roberts Courts of 2026. Look who Taney is. And look what Roberts and Taney, they're spitting images. Neither one of them like black people. They never said they don't like black people, but all the decisions that they ever made was to hurt black people, brother.
Yeah.
I'm hang up, and thanks for taking my call, bro.
You got it, Galloway. Thank you so much. And, that reminds me of yesterday morning. We had a great conversation with Alana Odoms, the executive director of the ACLU Louisiana. And during the conversation, one of the questions that I asked her was, isn't there a pattern that every time that the United States of America allows racism to run rampant around the country, that the country pays an economic price? Every single time. These fools do it every single time. Every generation. We have had crazy, ridiculous, self-centered, leading racists who have just gotten beyond upset that black folks got a crumb of the American dream. And they do something. They use the legal system to do something just unconscionable from a standpoint of just humanity. They do something unconscionable. Stuff that is just worthy of international crimes. These folks do something every single time black folks start to progress. And the country pays an economic price every single time. And it's the kind of self-centered leadership that not only says, I'm going to exclude a group of people, and I'm going to stick to my guns so bad that I don't care if it hurts me too. It can hurt my own people. It can hurt my family. It can hurt people close to me. I'm fine with them getting hurt. It just can't hurt me. I need to be in my feelings. This is one of the reasons that whenever black folks, when we are heavily critical of ourselves and each other, this is one of the reasons I like us to pull back and ask, hold on. We can be critical of one another, but why are we acting like we're the only people in the United States of America who makes mistakes? Why are we acting like that? We're human beings. We're not perfect people. So we do things that show our imperfections all the time. Just like yesterday, we had calls about Obama. You'd swear Obama committed some of the worst crimes in the history of the United States as far as presidents are concerned. And you ask people a pointed question. Okay, you got all this smoke for Obama. Can we talk about the other 40 whatever presidents and their mistakes? Well, look at what he did, though. I know what he did. I disagree with a few things Obama did. But can we talk about some of the crap that other presidents did? Woodrow Wilson had a screening of doggone, what's the stupid movie? The Klan movie, Birth of a Nation. He had a screening at the White House. You got some fool tearing down parts of the White House literally right now so he can have a ballroom, a bunker. Yet you want to talk about Obama expanding protections for the trans community? We act, every time black folks make a mistake, we act like it is the worst mistake in the history of humanity. It grates my nerves. It grates my nerves. And I'm not saying we shouldn't hold each other accountable. Absolutely, we should hold each other accountable. Yes, we should hold each other to high standards. I listen, we should do it. My son is in college right now. I had a conversation with that dude the other day where I said, listen, this summer, you need to take this many hours. In the fall, you need to take that many hours. What are your grades looking like? What do you have to do better? I'm not mad at you. I'm not disappointed in you, but I will say I know you can do better. Yeah, we need to do that. I worked at 4 HBCUs. Every single one I worked at thought that any mistake they made was the worst mistake in higher education. But you think people, I mean, listen, listen, I have no beef with Tulane. Tulane is, we have a check, we draw a paycheck from Tulane. I'm cool with Tulane. But do you really think Tulane is sitting on St. Charles Avenue making zero mistakes? You think Loyola is sitting on St. Charles Avenue making zero mistakes? You think UNO makes zero mistakes? You think Holy Cross makes zero mistakes? I know all those presidents too. I know them. Well, all but one. You really think these people are making zero mistakes on their campuses? No. I can tell you right now, they are making mistakes just as bad, if not worse than HBCUs. Yet, we have people at HBCUs acting like we can't do anything right. Are you serious? Yeah, we get stuff wrong. Yes, we do. That's because we're human beings. It's not because we're black. It's because we're human beings. Human beings make bad decisions. I don't care how much money you got, you're going to make a bad decision. I don't care. I don't care how many great decisions you have made. A couple of those decisions are going to be really bad. You know why? Because you're a human being. Yet here we sit, as we take a look at the very deep selfishness, the self-centeredness that is happening right now. And we're sitting here going, well, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Come on now. Come on now. We got Ronnie on the line this afternoon. How you doing, Ronnie?
Hey, Eddie, how y'all doing, man?
Doing well.
I was calling because of you was talking about how every generation of theirs that come along tried it. It's in effect, Reconstruction ideology, for lack of a better term. But Eddie, I'm old enough to remember when everything you picked up said made in America. And to your point, man, they hate us so much where, see, in the 80s, when Ronald Reagan come in there, man, and fired those 30,000 air traffic controllers, that was a notice to the union. See, union was building the black middle class. And because of it, they started outsourcing everything. And now, like Malcolm said, the chicken will come home to roost to the point, man, where we don't have that industrial base anymore at a time when we needed to compete with China. Yeah. We don't have it, Eddie. We do not have it because we outsourced it in the 80s and the 90s, to hurt black people, just like you said, just to hurt black, because the black middle class was growing too fast for them.
I mean, Ronnie, look at, you remember the documentary Roger and Me about the car plants pulling out of Michigan.
Yes.
Yes. And you're like, well, wait a minute. If you're such great Americans, why that? Why do something like that?
That's right. Eddie, it's because of their hate, man. I mean, Eddie, see, when somebody hates you without a cause or a reason, it ain't nothing you can do to make that person not hate you. Because, I mean, think about it, man. We ain't gonna never be accepted by him.
No. And that's not my goal. That I don't have to be accepted. I don't have to be respected.
You know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. I'm getting in your amen corner on this one. I mean, that is exactly how it's gonna look. We know, Ronnie. We're gonna have to go to a commercial break, man. I appreciate you calling in. You have a great one, brother. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right then, man. Y'all stay dry, man, because that rain is coming down. All right, we're gonna come back in just a minute. As a matter of fact, because I feel like I want to talk victory right now. I do want to talk victory. I want to talk black victory. And because I want to do that, I want to talk about something that 15 HBCUs got together and did that I love. I'm Eddie Francis in for the G-Man Gerod Stevens on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. A federal judge has ordered the Justice Department to explain why it raided a black majority county that indicted Donald Trump, and it has until 5 p.m. to answer. Fulton County, Georgia is home to Atlanta and the jurisdiction where District Attorney Fonnie Willis indicted Trump in 2023 for trying to overturn his 2020 election loss there. This past January, years after multiple audits cleared the county of any wrongdoing, FBI agents showed up and seized over 600 boxes of original ballots and election records. Fulton County sued to get them back, arguing the raid was retaliation. Civil rights groups warn the seized voter data could be used to purge black voters from the rolls before 2026. U.S. District Judge John Paul Boulay, a Trump appointee, ruled the Justice Department must disclose when the investigation started and when agents began drafting the warrant. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
Looking for a great deal on your next phone? Come see us at your locally owned AT&T store for the latest Samsung and iPhones. Visit us at 3616 South Carrollton Avenue. We have great offers on watches, tablets, accessories, and internet service. Whatever your connectivity needs are, our team is here to help you keep connected. Visit us today at AT&T, 3616 South Carrollton Avenue. Locally owned and proudly giving back to the community.
A careless driver can change your life in an instant. Do you know what to do or who to call? If you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident and do not have an attorney, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free consultation. We can answer all of your questions and estimate the potential value of your case. Call Auto Accident Help Desk and connect with an expert personal injury attorney.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Don't worry how to handle your medical bills, lost wages, and pain. We will get you the money you deserve.
They got me way more than the insurance company offered.
The consultation is free, and you do not pay any legal fees unless we win or settle your case. Make the smart call. If you've been injured in an auto accident, call Auto Accident Help Desk for a free legal consultation.
Call 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524. 800-269-4524.
Step back in time and experience the moments that shaped our world at the National World War II Museum, located in the heart of the Warehouse District in New Orleans. This world-renowned museum brings history to life, telling America's story in the war that changed everything, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. From immersive exhibits to powerful personal stories, this is more than a museum. It's an experience. Plan your visit today at nationalww2museum.org. World War II Museum, where history lives.
Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
And welcome back to the reality check. Eddie Francis in for the G-Man Gerod Stevens. Hot off the presses. From thehill.com, this report was filed actually at 1:02 p.m. Central Time by Ryan Mancini. And actually, this is something that Cleo Fields mentioned during his interview. He did mention that one of the candidates from the primaries is filing a lawsuit or has filed a lawsuit against Jeff Landry. That would be Lindsey Garcia. Who that is the candidate who is filing the lawsuit. But here's the thing. There's more. From the New York Times, Voters sue over Louisiana governor's move to delay primary. This was actually filed today, 3:35 Eastern Time. Emily Cochran and Nick Corasaniti. And I'm sorry, Nick. I know I'm going to get that if I practice it 4 more times. But here are the details on this. And again, this is from New York Times. NYTimes.com is where you can catch it. Voters and key voting right groups filed multiple lawsuits against Governor Jeff Landry on Friday on the order to suspend the state's House primary, arguing that he overstepped his executive powers by delaying the election to give lawmakers time to draw a new congressional map. Now, here is what we have. Voting rights groups on Friday argued that the Supreme Court ruling did not qualify as an emergency under Louisiana law, given that absentee ballots have already been requested and voters are already struggling to navigate a new closed primary system. The groups warned against sowing further chaos and jeopardizing people's rights to vote. So let me tell you, I'm going to say this really, really quickly. When I researched leadership, I researched narcissistic leadership and how it impacts followers for my academic research. One of the things that self-centered leaders, if not narcissistic leaders, but self-centered leaders don't mind doing this at all, they actually love chaos. They create chaos deliberately. Great example. If you have somebody at work who's a manager and you see that person is self-centered and that person seems to be sowing discontent between you and your coworkers, that is not an accident. That is not an accident. That is confusion. That is chaos. And it's chaos that they want. It is chaos that they want. So let me go on with the rest of this story. The League of Women Voters of Louisiana, the Louisiana chapter of the NAACP, the Power Coalition for Equity and Justice, and a few individual voters joined together in the lawsuit. Again, this is New York Times. This was filed today. They are being represented by the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU of Louisiana, and the Legal Defense Fund. Some of the groups that are involved in the congressional redistricting case in Louisiana. Another lawsuit filed by a local chapter of the National Council of Jewish Women and backed by the Elias Law Firm and National Redistricting Foundation pointed to previous rulings by the Supreme Court that prevented maps from being changed close to an election. Eric Holder, a former Attorney General of the United States, of course, who served in the Obama administration, accused Mr. Landry of playing politics with the court decision in a statement accompanying the lawsuit. And so, again, that is from the New York Times. So there is legal action that is flying all over the place as far as Landry is concerned. Before I go on, let me make sure that I say hello to the people who have been good enough to spend your time with us this afternoon on WBOK. Really appreciate you, Karen Marks, Chuck Hunt. Appreciate you, Misty Jones. Thank you so much for hanging out. Shannon Swift, I appreciate you. And then also we have, I know I saw Martin Curley in there somewhere, Carol Sanders. I appreciate you hanging out. Jimmy Pierre, thank you. And also all the other folks who are hanging out. My man Galloway hanging out as always on YouTube. Appreciate you, LAVSP on YouTube. I'm reading the handles now. Sandra Muhammad, thank you. I appreciate you for hanging out as always. Cameron Brown hanging out on YouTube as well. Thank y'all. Really appreciate it. Listen, man, it's the weekend. We got to go into the weekend. So let's talk about some stuff that can make us proud of what's happening with our HBCUs. Harvard has announced a 3-year, $1.5 million grant to the Association of Historically Black Colleges and Universities Research Institutions, a new coalition of 15 HBCUs working to enhance their collective reach. This is actually this story is actually from April 29th, the Harvard Gazette. Jacob Sweet is the one who wrote the story. The grant made through Harvard and the Legacy of Slavery Initiative will support research infrastructure and technical assistance at these schools as they build research capacity and seek to achieve R1 status. That is Research 1 status. Now, right now, for context, Louisiana has 3 Research 1 universities: LSU, Tulane, and University of Louisiana Lafayette. This is the highest research designation offered in the United States to universities, I should say offered to U.S. universities, under the Carnegie Classification of Institutions of Higher Education. Harvard's Office of the Vice Provost of Research will provide technical support. The new funding strengthens Harvard's commitment to building partnerships at HBCUs while enhancing their ability to attract top research talent and funding that will come with R1 research classification. Howard University is the first HBCU to have earned an R1 designation and is currently the only partner institution in AHRI with that designation. So we do have, by the way, HBCUs that have research designation. They're not R1s. And of course, as we just heard right there, Howard is the only one. Now, as somebody who used to do marketing communications in higher education, this really is a major development. The reason that it is a major development is having R1 status brings in major dollars. So if you're wondering, how is it Tulane has gotten so rich, and how did LSU, how did they get so many resources, and how do they get so much? When you take a look at the flagship institutions around the country, the University of Michigan or any of these big institutions, when you take a look at how they have gotten a lot of their resources, if not cash in hand coming through the door sometimes, having Research 1 designation is a big part of that. But not only that, you're able to go out and you are able to get some of the top talent out there in the higher education market. So you can get some of the top researchers. You can get some of the top support staff. You can go out and get some of the top people, because when they see R1 status, that is where the top people want to be. And so this is a big deal for these HBCUs. Now, you say to yourself, well, Eddie, this sounds more like a Harvard story than it does an HBCU story. Harvard, let's give them credit, of course, for doing something like this. And of course, they get the PR on this thing, right? They get to say we're doing something really great with these black schools, right? They get to do that. However, this is where I think the HBCUs involved in this deserve a lot of credit. These 15 HBCUs are doing something that I have seen for myself a lot of HBCUs are not willing to do. Work together. That is not a slap or a swipe at HBCUs. It is a flaw, and it is something that folks need to get right with themselves about. The ones who don't like to work with other HBCUs, they got to work on that. Okay, they got to work on that. And there are HBCUs, truth be told, that do like to play gatekeeper and keep other HBCUs out. I experienced that when I worked at one. And so they need to get right with the Lord too. However, for now, these 15 HBCUs that are working together to gain this status or to collect these research dollars: Clark Atlanta, Delaware State, Florida A&M, Hampton University, my wife's alma mater, Howard University, Jackson State, Morgan State, North Carolina A&T, which, by the way, North Carolina A&T is the biggest HBCU in the country. You have Prairie View, South Carolina State, Southern is involved, and the best HBCU is involved in this thing. My alma mater, the land of the golden sunshine, home of the aristocrat of bands, Tennessee State. Also, that other TSU, Texas Southern, is involved, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and Virginia State. So these are the 15 HBCUs that are involved in this effort to draw in more research dollars. And again, the organization that is really helping with this within Harvard is the Association of Historically Black Colleges and Universities Research Institutions. That's a coalition of 15 HBCUs. And this really is a big deal, because one thing that has been happening on the HBCU landscape is that for years, folks have been talking to HBCUs and saying, listen, it's going to be really hard for you, really, really hard for you to get what you need by yourself. But if you can work with your peer institution in the same city, or if you can work with your peer institutions in the same state, you really can go farther together. And so I really do hope that what's going to wind up happening with this particular initiative to bring R1 status to more HBCUs, I really hope that what happens as a result of this is that there is a positive domino effect. Let's call it a reverse domino effect, where one domino picks up and all the rest of them pick up. And then all of these HBCUs are working together, sharing resources, and figuring out how to work with one another. That is definitely something that we want to see. Now, something else that I would really love to see is I would love for us to really sink a lot of energy into creating our own narrative. Right now, we have a great opportunity, and 504-582-9422 is your number. 504-582-9422 is your number. If you have thoughts on this, I would like to see us control our own narrative. When I was the director of communications and marketing at Dillard University, there was a brand refresh project that we did. And the purpose of this project was to figure out how to get the university to develop a language of its own to talk about what it does special, right? And there was something, there was a marketing agency that I partnered with on this, and we partnered with it. And this marketing agency said something really cool in their proposal to us. And what they said was, how do we get Dillard to speak Dillard? That just grabbed me. And the reason I said that, the reason I say this is that there are times when you have institutions when you ask them, hey, what makes your institution great? And they'll say, well, you know, we do this, we do that, we have this, we have that. But you know what? You know, if we could just get the attention of so-and-so across town, if we could just do, and a lot of institutions will do that. And you have to stop them and say, no, I didn't ask you what anybody else is doing right. I asked you what you were doing right. How do we as a people protect our language? How do we protect what is special to us? This came up yesterday when I said, you know, we allow people to talk us out of our own conversations. Right now, we have people who will say things to, let's say, a nonprofit that is Black-led. And we'll say things to them like, listen, whatever you do, don't say stuff that's really too Black, okay? And you know, when you're applying for this grant, don't talk about how you're trying to help Black boys too much. And it's an awful position to be in for the nonprofit. It's not the nonprofit's fault. They're not doing anything wrong. They're following their mission. But we're in a place right now where people have taken from us a unique and a special language. The biggest favor we can do for ourselves right now is to constantly stick to our narrative. I think I've told this story before, maybe on this show. I know I've told this story on the Good Morning Show where I was on a flight sitting next to a guy. We were having a good conversation. white man from Missouri, and conversation was doing good. We were talking sports. It was great. There was no problem. But I could feel it coming, right? I looked at old boy and I say, I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And my man said, everything was fine until, we started doing all this Democrat socialism stuff and all the woke stuff. And I said, well, what's the problem? Well, I mean, and I guess he didn't expect me to ask him a question. Well, I mean, all the stuff, the DEI and all that stuff. I mean, that somebody should just be able to earn a job. And I said, well, yeah, that's exactly what was happening when DEI stepped in. People, when we got affirmative action, yeah, people were able to rightfully earn their jobs. But isn't affirmative action? I said, no. I said affirmative action is a response to unethical practices when there were colleges and businesses saying we won't hire you because you're black. And that's documented, by the way. And I doubled down on old boy and I said, would you like to know what makes a DEI program fail? It's not DEI itself. It's when you hire a vice president of DEI to your company and tell them that you want them to make a big difference and you give them no budget, no resources, no say-so. How is any program supposed to survive? How's anybody supposed to move the needle if you don't give them anything to do their jobs with excellence? Nothing. And he said, well, I got your point. Well, I'm glad you got that point. But you got a whole other, I didn't say this to him, but I'm like, dude, you got a whole lot of other points you need to get. Because you know what? My having affirmative action took absolutely nothing from you. Nothing. We can't let people talk about what was the right thing to do because, and Galloway brought it up earlier, when we have things like Jim Crow. Jim Crow was unethical. It was immoral. And it was designed to do immoral things to people, unethical things to people. So when the Civil Rights Act came, and you got the Voting Rights Act, and you got affirmative action, which, by the way, it wasn't just for black people. That was for people who were marginalized. It just so happens that black folks, because we are innovative, we are very innovative, because we don't have a choice most of the time. It just so happens that black folks led the charge. Because let there be no mistake about us African Americans. We lead. We lead. That is what we do. And a lot of times the reason we are so innovative is the situation calls for us to just dig down deep and to not think outside the box, but to think inside the box and pick everything up in the box that we can and create something out of nothing. That's why. And so my call to action to you is to stand by the narrative of our strength, of our power, and to stand by the narrative of the reason that we got an affirmative action, the reason we got a Civil Rights Act, the reason we got a Voting Rights Act is y'all were screwing up. Y'all wouldn't do the right thing. That's why. The next time you hear your governor talk about how he wants there to be no woke stuff, and the next time you hear your president talk about that he doesn't want any woke stuff, and Stephen Miller, you hear that fool talking about he doesn't want any woke stuff. The reason people have to be woke in the first place is people like you. You brought this on yourself. So if you think that there's a great replacement theory, you know what? You need to go and you need to talk to your ancestors. Take it up with them. Exhume their bodies and have a good conversation with them because they created the problem. They are the reason that you have a great replacement theory problem. Them. Black folks didn't do it. All we've been trying to do is live. What do black people do? We write love songs, we party, we live and let live, we go to church, we laugh. Yeah, we do some screwed up stuff because we're human beings. And then we go find some remote part of the country to build a town in. We start circulating our own dollar, and then the self-centered people, the racists, come along and they go out of their way to tear it down. If you think great replacement theory is a thing, it's not black folks' fault. You better go talk to your mammy, your daddy, your grandpappy, and your grandmammy, because they are the reason you got to have great replacement theory. We ain't do it. We just try and live our lives. I'm Eddie Francis, in for the G-Man, Gerod Stevens. We're going to be back with the reality check in just a little bit on WBOK. What New Orleans is talking about.
That's right, it's party time each and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. on WBOK. It's the Throwback Throwdown with DJ Wick as he brings you the best in old school from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the early 2Ks. Plus, the party goes to another level at 9 p.m. with the Throwback Throwdown Party Mix to round out the night. It's the Throwback Throwdown Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on WBOK and on the World Wide Web at WBOK1230.com.
Hey, Pontchartrain Park. Thanks for listening to WBOK.
Greetings and salutations. I am Elwood B. Coulon Smith, chairman of the board of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd like to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon on WBOK to listen in on Black to Business and be a part of the movement that's going on. Thank you.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Here we go. The reality check on WBOK 1230 AM.
And welcome back to the reality check. Eddie Francis in for the G-Man, Gerard Stevens. We are in the home stretch of this thing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this afternoon. You know what, WBOK audience, I don't care what anybody says about you. You're all right with me. That's love. That's love, you know what I'm saying? That's love, you know what I'm saying? So this morning, had a great conversation with the good folks from Liberty Bank. Angel Thibodeau Burns came to hang out with us as usual. And this time she brought with her Eric Walter Jr. from Junior Achievement. And there was something that Mr. Walter said during the conversation. He said, you know, we're trying to work with students as far as being micropreneurs. And, you know, basically it is a way, quite frankly, of talking about people and their side hustle. But a micropreneur is an individual who starts and operates a small business, often alone or with fewer than 5 employees, staying small intentionally to maintain control, flexibility, and a healthy work-life balance. Oh, I didn't realize this, but I am a micropreneur. You learn something new every day. And still you die fool. And so he talked about young people being micropreneurs. And we talk about side hustles. I like this micropreneur thing because, well, in context to young people, because it is a good starting point. Not the thing, but it is a good starting point. And we need to do a lot more whenever we see our young people being creative, coming up with creative business ideas, of course, within reason, legally within reason, and you know, morally within reason, ethically within reason. When we see our young people coming up with very simple ideas, you know, Little man says, you know what, I know how to cut hair. And you see him do a haircut and it looks pretty good. And he says, I'm going to charge my friends $5 for a haircut. Okay. Watch the quality of work. Let Lil Man maybe practice on somebody in the family. That's between you and Lil Man. But if you can see that Lil Man has a real talent and this could really work, and there's a way you can help Lil Man with his little haircutting business at 12 years old or whatever, help him on that micropreneur track. Help him. Help him out. Get him started early. I really wish that when I was in college, I really wish I had taken an intro to business course. I really wish. I wish I had done that. I wish I had taken an intro to finance course. I really, really wish I had done it. And what do we see? You know, I just did a story about HBCUs. If you went to an HBCU, you had micropreneurs all over campus, cutting hair, doing lashes, doing nails, doing tutoring, building websites, doing all kinds of stuff, doing graphic design, all kinds of stuff. I mean, listen, when I was working at Dillard and Suno, I saw all kinds of students doing all kinds of business. I will never forget. One summer, the track team from Suno, they were trying to figure out how to raise money and honestly how to keep living in their apartments, because due to NAIA rules, they could only do so much as far as having a job, right? So these jokers got together and they started cooking. Now they were Jamaicans, and they would walk around campus selling curry chicken, curry goat. Good. You understand? I was more than happy to support black business. More than happy. And I was more than happy to sample the product. But at the same time, it was really cool to watch them work and to watch them get resources for themselves, because the thing that I started thinking to myself was this. When these guys, because it was mostly the men's track team, when these guys go out and it's time for them to apply for jobs, they are going to have some really good stories to tell in their interviews about initiative, about understanding, you know, where to get your inventory, how much to pay for inventory, how, you know, they will be able to talk about profit margin, and they'll also be able to talk about what it means to have an entrepreneurial spirit on the job, which, by the way, I have somewhat of an issue with that, because some people get tricky with that. But all things being equal, they will be able to do that. And so one of the things that I would love to see us do is I would love to see us wake that spirit up in our young people. You know, yesterday I asked a question, what is next for Black America? And I can't remember who called in. We were talking about politics. We were talking about voting. And I know people get sick of hearing us talk about voting. I get it. I really do. So one of the callers said, well, we need to talk about economics as well. Absolutely. By the way, that is very much connected to politics, economics. So when we are talking to our young people about starting their businesses, whatever that looks like, and I do think that side hustle it's not a harmful term, but I think there's more power when we say, oh, okay, you've become a micropreneur, or you started your own business. Cool. What you got? What you got going? Talk to me about it. How much you charging? Why are you charging that much? Well, how much does it take you to buy your supplies? Okay, let's look at how much do you pay yourself? By the way, do you have a bookkeeper? Do you have somebody who is, let me tell you why you need a bookkeeper. We can start having these conversations with our young people early. And by the way, a lot of these folks who are out of work right now and they're having to get real creative and start their own businesses, please try to find a way to support them. If you cannot financially support that micropreneur who lost a job last year, then support them by word of mouth. Tell everybody what they're doing. It may not be a thing, but if you can at least just repost something that they are doing, if you can at the very least say, hey, you know what? I don't need my nails done, but I tell you what, I know somebody who's looking for a nail technician, and I'm happy to send them your way. Right? Whatever it is, whatever that little business is, or whatever that micropreneur is doing, yes, we want to support our young people, and we want to make sure that they feel empowered to start the business. But here's the other thing that we want to teach them in terms of economic power. We also want to teach them about how the dollar circulates and where to circulate the dollar. We want to do all this stuff with Black business, which is great, and I'm all for it. But what we also need to do is talk about how we can circulate the dollar within the community. And we don't have to have a big old press release about it. We don't have to get on social media and talk about how we're doing the strategy, because look, some of y'all get on social media and you talk about your strategy. Don't talk about your strategy on social media. Okay. And honestly, when you launch your business, you don't even have to talk about launching your business. Do a soft launch and launch it quietly and market, do some market research on it, do some market testing on that thing. Okay. Don't make such a big deal out of it. You really don't have to. When you get it to the point you need to get it and you feel good about it and you have momentum and you have that plan together, then do it. So let's have these conversations with our young people. Show them how to use AI to draw up a business plan. Don't be afraid of AI. Make AI your assistant. Don't be afraid of it. Don't let it do the thinking for you. Let it be the assistant. Teach our young people how to use AI as an assistant, as a thought partner. Don't let them be afraid of it. I'm a college instructor, and actually, it doesn't bother me when my students use AI. It doesn't. But we have guardrails. We do have guardrails. Don't copy and paste it. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about a thought partner, and I want to see the original thought that you develop as a result of what you have gotten back. So let's get our young people also comfortable with technology as it is developing. Try to get them ahead of the technological curve. Ask them, if you could get better results from AI to do your business plan, how would you do it? There are so many conversations that we can have. And the way that we can do it, the way that we can jumpstart this economic empowerment in our communities is by having conversations with our young people so we can hear ourselves having the conversation, and we can have the conversations with one another about the conversations that we're having with young people. Circulate that dollar, man. That's what I'm talking about. But on the real, this is the dream. This is where we need to go. And this is how we need to be problem-solving oriented. Listen, stay dry. Have a great weekend. And if you get a chance to rest, by all means, rest. I know I need some rest, seriously. And again, as always, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I appreciate you allowing me to hang out with you. I'm Eddie Francis in for the G-Man, Gerod Stevens, and that's going to do it for this edition of the Reality Check on WBOK, what New Orleans is talking about.